Howdy folks, how's it going? Trying to get an on-time start today, although my dev setup seems not to be cooperating with me today. Maybe I'll just stream myself rustling through that. So one of the things, the thing I'm planning to do today, I'm planning on hacking on Firefox color some more. Let me turn on the scene switcher. Kind of picking up where I left off with the to-dos yesterday. I'm still working on playing around with custom background images for Firefox color. I got the drag and drop working yesterday. And that's kind of capping off the last few streams worth of stuff I've been doing. But one of the things I've discovered with it, and I've been kind of wrestling with it all along, is the performance is terrible. And I think I may have worked out why it's so terrible. And the thing that I realized while I'm looking at how I've got things built is that, so I've got this data structure that defines the theme data, and that includes a bunch of things like, and I'll probably, like, I don't know, do a JSON dump of a theme just so I can describe it in a few minutes here. I'm trying to get my drives mounted and things. Anyway, there's a JSON structure. It includes a bunch of theme properties, each of which has color information. And I added to that the user's images. Now, those images are encoded as base64 data URLs, which is great because then you can pass them around as strings. Hey Slayer Darth, how's it going? But so the terrible thing about passing around those images as strings is they can be quite large. So my theme data structure went from, say, I don't know, hundreds of bytes to hundreds of thousands of bytes. And it turns out that is a significant enough difference when I'm passing that structure around that it slows everything down. So today I'm going to look at separating those images back out of the theme data and put them in their own separate store and maybe wrap them in some progress meters and just different ways to treat them as large data. Yeah, things are going pretty good for me. Wrestling with my dev setup a little bit this morning. But that's alright. Hoping to actually get a few things done. Oh, you bombed a phone interview yesterday. Oh, I'm sorry about that. That's never fun. Was this the, oh, I think you were telling me about this last week. The place that does testing with Selenium. Oh, come on, little DOS window. You can mount that drive. Oh, there it goes. Okay. Let me close this project real quick. Alright, let's see if... Let's see if my file share is actually working. So you got some bad vibes about the place. Yeah, that can be rough. Because, you know, mileage varies depending on the person, but still, if they have overwhelming negative reviews, that might be a good warning sign. Alright, let's see. Well, so far so good. Looks like my NFS share is cooperating. Alright, well, it's still, it's a little slow, but we'll see how it works. Alright, so actually probably a good thing to look at right now to kind of get my head straight on what I want to do next. So, I'll kind of show what's going on in the Redux DevTools. Yeah, that's always tough when you're in an interview because, of course, the company's trying to put their best foot forward for you as much as you're trying to put the best foot forward for them. And sometimes reviews on Glassdoor are kind of, I don't know, crusades by people to make a place look bad. But then again, yeah, I could see how you would know what to believe. Let's see, so here I'm going to pick a theme, and then that eventually will work. Yeah, okay, there it goes. So I set the theme on the website. It should replace the theme in the browser, except that... Oh, I have the wrong... So the thing about Firefox Color, it's got a companion add-on that lets the website set the theme in the browser, but that... Oh, and now my cat's knocking my laptop off its stand. But the thing about this add-on is it is locked to the host name of the site it comes from. And that's kind of a security thing, so that like no other website can set your theme other than the Firefox Color theme you installed it from. So I'm going to try loading it again. Yeah, I do tend to think it's good to have a bunch of open source to show off, at least as like sample code. I know there's also kind of a backlash against using or regarding your GitHub profile as your resume because there are other things to look at, but it certainly helps to have a portfolio to show off, whether it's GitHub or otherwise. Not that GitHub is like the end-all be-all of open source, or even really open source at all, but it's where a lot of source lives these days anyways. There we go, there's my Ubuntu drive. I feel like I should do a blog post about this Amazon EC2 based dev environment I've stumbled into, for better or worse. Yeah, I can't say I contribute to a lot of open source so much as I do open source for a living at Mozilla, but the most I've done on other projects is kind of like drive-by bug fixing. And a lot of times it's just kind of to build up my own skills and, you know, occasionally do a good thing. Oh, this thing is just spinning forever. This is not boding well for my work today. Come on, little guy, you can load up the share. I wonder if... Oh... I'm not super familiar with how NFS works. I wonder if it's caching the whole directory structure ahead of time or something. That's bad if it is. What do I have open here? Yeah, this window's gone. I don't need this anymore. That's fine. Go away. Part of the problem I have with this EC2 based environment is I shut it down a lot, and when I shut it down, it has a different host name when it comes back up. That's probably a thing I could fix, but I just haven't put the effort into yet. And I think this is running very slow right now, too. Seems like my network connection to Amazon from my house is really slow today, which is really annoying. What are you doing over here? Oh, you're still working on that. Man. Yeah, there's not really a lot of room for bylines when you're just kind of packing away at projects for and like work for hire for an agency. You don't exactly get to show off the even if you're using source control within the company, you don't exactly get to show off the history and the diffs. Well, shoot. This is not very happy making today. I can't imagine that my streaming bandwidth is killing my access to things, although it could be, I don't know. That could be a thing I need to look into. I am doing a weird thing with this stream in that I've got an Nginx process running on my on one of my other computers in the room, and it's taking my stream and sending it to both Twitch and YouTube at the same time. It's kind of mirroring it. So I might look at cutting one of those at some point and see if maybe I'm eating up too much of my own bandwidth. I don't know, the stream seems to come through all right. And I'm just trying to do simple file stuff. Like simple NFS stuff. Yeah, this is just not making things happy today. And here I was thinking I was going to dive right into it today and be productive. Well, this seems to be pretty snappy. What the heck's going on here? Yeah, right here I'm browsing through an NFS share pulled down from my EC2 box, and it seems to be pretty snappy through File Explorer. Yeah, maybe it finally finished whatever it was doing. Okay, maybe we can keep going. How easy is it for people to sneak into college lectures? You know, I'm not sure. But to be honest, I graduated from university in 1997. So things may have been different then. I don't know. I don't know that anyone checked IDs per se. I wouldn't be surprised if someone could just kind of sneak into the back row. Then again, security might be a lot higher these days. Yay, I finally got the add-on loaded. Okay. Whatever logjam there must have been with my NFS, it looks like it's finished now. So maybe I can actually get productive now. Can I load another file? A little delayed, not too bad. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I would think it'd be pretty easy to sneak into lectures as long as no one complained. I want to say there's also, I haven't checked them out in a while, but I want to say there's a few universities here in the States that offer a bunch of lectures for free online, which is not the same thing, but I want to say I think MIT has a lot of electrical engineering stuff online. But I can't vouch for it personally. Oh yeah, this is what I was going to look at. Okay. Looks like my drive share is working. I wanted to load the site. It's talking to the add-on. That's cool. I'm in my Redux debugger. Yeah, okay, the thing I wanted to look at right now, just to kind of get my head on straight about it. These are all the Redux actions flowing through. It's a little slow to load. There we go. Okay, so I load a theme. And you can see... Looking at the latest theme... Wait, what are you doing? Why did you set that theme? Don't set that theme. Set this theme. Anyway, what I wanted to look at, real quick... You can kind of look at the data that's in my Redux state, in my Redux store. And what's going on here is there's this data structure in there. There's not a whole lot to it. There's, I mean, this past present stuff is all wrapped up in the undo redo functionality, but the main thing here to look at in present data, got colors, and just a set of properties that correspond to the colors you can set. And then there's this images, but this is the old images. This is where you can pick one of these ready-made, pre-baked backgrounds. And the nice thing about those is that I don't store the actual image in the theme data, I just store the file name. And so on both the website and the add-on, they already have those images baked in. So if I give it the name, it'll look it up from the pre-baked set of images. So this is a pretty compact data structure, relatively speaking. There's some colors and there's the name of an image, and that's about it. That's pretty fast to pass around wherever you want to pass it around. And I do pass it around quite a lot. Every time there's a change to the Redux store, this data structure is copied and altered. Every time I change the theme, this data is sent with a message to the add-on, so then the add-on knows to change the browser theme. Now where things get hairy is with this new feature I'm adding. And so here, I can pick an image. Say this one. And so what happens is as soon as I pick an image, there's a file reader API, loads the image up from disk, encodes it as a base 64 data URL, and then shoves that into the state. So that's what you can see here. Now, the unfortunate thing about that is this data URL is quite long. So suddenly, my theme data structure has ballooned because I have this base 64 representation of a binary image just kind of shoved into the theme data structure. Now that was very simple in the coding, and it allowed me to kind of piggyback off of all the other theme state handling I had in there. But it turns out passing around this much data, I think, drags down every part of my application. Because this theme data gets... Because Redux state is immutable, and because I want undo redo, this entire data structure gets copied every time there's any change. And by any change, I mean if I change the alignment on this image, I don't just change the alignment, I copy the entire state. And then not only do I copy the entire state, I also transmit that state up into the add-on. So that means for every image that's here, there is a copy of it in memory for every change I make. So that's just, you know, off the top of my head, that seems bad, or at least wasteful. So what I'm hoping to do today, what I think I want to do today, is make it work a little more like the built-in images work. And by that I mean I'm going to create a new section of the Redux store that holds onto the images. And then the theme data will refer to those images by name or some identifier. So then the theme data just has a reference to them. And the image data should only change when I add or remove an image. And so yeah, so this is kind of wasteful right now, because you can see if I step through the Redux actions, all that image data is repeated and copied in every state change, because each of these are separate, unique copies of the state. And even just stepping through it is kind of slow. And I do keep them in memory because these undo redo buttons work. I'm pretty sure if I hit undo, one of the images will go away. Yeah, see, if I hit undo again, this will disappear, but you can see how sluggish it is. So I can like undo and redo all of this, but it's working because it's keeping copies of every successive state. So, okay. So then today's task will be to separate the actual image data from the Redux state, because it's fine to keep copies of the state around as long as it's small and quick to pass around. And the images are basically immutable because this web app is not editing the images. So as soon as you import the image into the web app, it should be fine to keep it in a store off to the side. So, okay. So I think my plan of attack here is going to be to first start adding the separate section of the Redux store. And then keep the image in both places, and then remove it from the old place. This is my favorite part of this song. I think I've said on stream before, I used to have this on tape. And I would play it over and over again and try to figure out on the SID chip how they got that resonance thing happening. Alright. So here I'm looking at the Redux store code. And I just have everything in this one file. A lot of folks like to break it up into separate files for actions and reducers and all that fun stuff, and selectors, but I was hoping this stuff would stay small, so I'm just keeping it all in one file for now. At some point I might split it apart. And I'm also kind of roughly organizing things by their category. Like one set of actions affects the UI, the other deals with modifying the theme. So what I think I'm going to do, I'm trying to do some like test first development here, but the way I do development in general is I just kind of tinker from the middle out. So I think I might just start kind of poking around here. I don't know. Let's see, it should import image data into own. It should import image data into its own section of the Redux store. This is a terribly named test, but I'll work from here. So yeah, I don't know, here's a... I'll probably need an image. I'm not validating these images, so that's just bunk data. I want to say... just push around, test the code of production. Yeah, that's surprisingly close to what some folks like to do with dark launches, and yeah. I have worked on products before where there were no servers other than the production server. Like actual professional, used by people products back in the 90s. Kitty. My kitty is off camera, and he's busily stretching and pushing everything off my desk. I should hook up a cat cam. Alright, so... The problem I find with test-driven development sometimes, in the whole philosophy of write a test that fails first, is you have to use a lot of make-believe to assume what your tested code is going to look like. Because here I'm going to be able to say, I don't know, expect selectors. So I guess I'll start this test by asserting that there's a selector that's going to give me a list of custom images from the store, and it's going to have a length of 0. And that is going to fail on all fronts. And actually, since I'm starting with tests, let's jump on over my build. What I'm going to do I'm going to stop the full build process and just go into a file watcher for tests. So this is going to repeatedly run my tests over and over as I edit files. Yeah, and there we go. So this has failed immediately because there is no selector. So I can back into this. Yikes. That seems like a bad design to make it possible to screw with one machine and knock out all ATMs. Alright, and just kind of continuing along the lines of test-driven development, you can do the laziest thing possible first, and I can say, well, guess what? If all you're expecting is a length of 0, well then our job is done here, right? Test passes. All done. Except I'm not, okay. So I guess the next thing I should try to assert is like, I'm gonna try adding an image to the store. So let's assume there's an action, and it's called and what data do we want to throw into the store for this? Let's say, I don't know. Let's call it that. I don't even know necessarily if I can get the file name in the web UI, but let's just assume. Okay, so let's get ahead of ourselves a little bit. There is no action that does this, and this action does not in fact do that. So now I'm just kind of asserting that this action works. Why don't we do this? And I'm putting these in variables declared by let because I'm anticipating that I'm going to reuse them a few times over the course of various assertions. So and you know, actually, I'm going to do this too. I like to try to keep tests kind of dry by using test data in variables that I can later assert against. Helps if I can type without typos. Alright, so here I'm just kind of assuming that this action will put an image in there. And again, this test is going to fail on all fronts. I like to look at it anyways, because sometimes the failure is a syntax error. Yeah, so let's fix that. I do like this process when it works, when I can make it work for myself, because I can kind of take incremental baby steps along the way and kind of make sure each step of the process I'm on solid footing. So then by the time I get to the end, I know I've done everything right along the way. Sometimes it sucks to just kind of bang away at the keyboard and spew out a bunch of code and then discover you've screwed up in to a dozen ways. So that is a good thing of test-driven development when it works. So okay, so my test has failed, this time not from a syntax error. So what I need to add next is it's complaining about the lack of this action. So that opens up a new quest. Let's add a new branch of actions here. I've mentioned it before on stream, but I'm using this create actions utility from the Redux Actions library. And it kind of takes away a lot of repetitive boilerplate in that I can just name these actions. And basically, this utility function takes all these names and creates identity functions for each of these actions. So by that I mean it's a function that constructs a Redux action type, or it creates a function that takes in parameters and it returns a Redux action. And that's a JavaScript data structure that has the property type and the name of the type, and then payload with the arguments that I pass in. So basically it's something like each of these gets a function that looks something like this. And it's nice so that this is created for each of these, and I don't have to create that by hand ever. Okay, so we're adding a branch to here. I'm going to call it and this empty object up here is for when you want to not have an automatically created function, and you can add your own bespoke functions that do what you intend to do beyond just the identity function. So let's see, for now I'm just going to add this one action. So that should make the test fail in a different way. The other thing that's interesting about this create actions utility, all the action names are uppercase snake case. Uppercase snake whatever. But it automatically converts them to camel case, which is a little confusing, it's a little magical, but that's kind of the convention. So roll with it, I guess. Alright, so what did it do in the test? Aha, okay, so the next error is that that action, though it exists now, doesn't do anything. But now I roll on past my selectors down to my reducers. And this is where actions are actually handled. Now it's kind of a gotcha in Redux. I organize my actions by general concept. I've got a bunch of actions that deal with UI related stuff, a bunch that deal with theme related stuff, and I'm adding image related actions. I did also organize my reducers along the same lines. But it's an easy trap to fall into. The actions and the reducers do not necessarily have to match. And in fact, some of my UI reducers here actually watch for theme-related actions. So for example, if you do something to change the theme, the user interface updates some visual elements to show that the theme has been changed. So even though it was a theme-related action, it has some effects on the UI-related side of the store. And now that I've gotten this far into things, I realized I haven't done a git pull to update this file. So I think I'm about to undo some work. But I can redo it real quick. Let's see. I've saved it a few times. Let's see what's up. Maybe I can do a git merge. What work have I done so far? Yeah, I was just remembering that I refactored some of this stuff yesterday. I don't know what that's doing there. What have I done so far? Huh, I don't know what all those changes are. Maybe we can do this. Let's stash that real quick. Let's pull down some updates from master. Ooh, that's going to be nasty, I think. I don't know that I want to do it that way. Trying to keep things clean. Okay. Oh, I see. Okay. So let's get back to my branch. What branch was that? So many typos. Okay. I was on this branch. And if you've never used it, git reflog is really cool for keeping track of what you've been up to. If you ever lose track of a commit, you can usually get right back to it by finding it in the reflog. It's kind of just the log of all your actions that have affected the repo. I use it all the time. Well, I guess that's not too bad. I wanted to fast forward, but I guess what I really needed to do... really needed to rebase, not just pull. So let's undo. Let's rebase against master, which should fast forward. Cool. Now I swear I did a thing over here to reduce some code. Maybe I didn't do it here. You know what? No, I didn't do it here. I did it over... not in the CSS. Hello, computer. Okay. Yeah, maybe I did it in the component, because I spent a little time yesterday trying to do a little bit of polish to dry up some repetitive parts. Okay, yeah, I did it over here. So never mind that little lapping back and forth. So let's unstash our work. And stash is nice because it lets you take a bunch of stuff in progress and set it relatively safely aside for a little bit. And then you can do all kinds of rebase and pulls and it'll come back usually. Sometimes you'll have conflict, but that's alright. Okay, so back to it. So what am I doing now? Okay, so I'm adding a reducer. I'm adding a reducer to handle import image. Now, reducers with the Redux action framework is pretty simple too. So I can do like now this is actually an interesting notion. I've got this undoable higher order function or whatever wrapped around my theme store, and that's what helps me implement these undo redo buttons. It automatically handles this past, present, future list. Now what's nice about that is since it covers everything under theme, the images have been covered by undo redo, but I'm about to split those images out. And I think I can get away with leaving those out of the undo stack for now. I'm going to try it that way just to keep things simple. I'll probably just change my mind later. So okay, so adding reducers, and so if you've never played with Redux before, reducers, so you've got a data store, and the way Redux works, it's a pretty simple equation. You get the current state of the store, you take an action. The action is applied through a reducer to produce the next state of the store. So you take whatever data you currently have, you take this little action object, and then the reducer does whatever it needs to do to make that action happen to that data. And out the other end comes a new state object. And the nice thing about that is it doesn't modify the previous state. It produces a new state. And that's nice because then you can easily do things like across the board, undo, redo. You can do time travel, so you can like rewind through the stages your app has been through. So down here, I'm going to make a reducer that watches for import image. And these are just functions. The function takes in state, it takes in an action, which in this case is going to be the import image action. And it's going to have a payload. And I'm going to call that payload an object with name and image, because that's what I did over here. Or actually, no, it's not image, it's data. Okay, actually, you know what? I'm going to change that to image. So we'll call that image. That's the payload. And this is like, in modern JavaScript, this is the thing I like right now, is this newish syntax for destructuring objects, naming arrow functions. Because you can pretty compactly define things like this, which is a function that takes an object and returns a different object. And what I'm going to do with this is say, okay, so this function takes in the state, returns the state, copy of the state. It's not a particularly deep copy of the state, but it's deep enough for our purposes here. There are other JavaScript libraries like Immutable.js that can do this more comprehensively, but my data is pretty shallow, so I can get away with this spread operator copy. Now what I want to do is override the bit of the state that has a list of images with my new image. Hello Kitty. I'm just going to say my list of images is actually the structure of, it's like a dictionary of images. So take the existing images, but stick this new one in there. So I find this to be a pretty, like, once you kind of get your head wrapped around the syntax, this is like a super compact way of saying, take the state and return a new state with this image plunked down. Now the other thing you have to do with this handle actions helper is give it an initial state. So when the Redux store is initialized, this is what that section of the store will look like. You can see another example up here. These are all the properties related to the UI branch of the store. All the way down here, this is what the theme section looks like. Although these are options. These are actually, these are options passed to the undo decorator. This is what the initial theme looks like, because normalized theme returns an empty theme. So, okay, going back up here, I've got a pretty simple new section to my Redux store. And it's got a reducer that looks for import image. It looks for import image with these properties in the payload, and it uses those bits of the payload to stick the image into the store. So actually, since I've done that, I've changed my idea of how I want to make this, so my test is not going to pass after having implemented that. Let's come back over here and alter the test to reflect my new understanding of things. Of course, I first have to wait for NFS to save my file. How you doing, NFS? There it goes. Okay, so I had initially assumed this was going to be an array. It is not. So, how about we do this? Oh yeah, and I have to change my selector. Because it was going to be a list. It is now going to be an object. And oh yeah, by the way, I can't get away with just returning an empty list. So that's what we're going to do. I'm just going to straight up return that section. Nope, this is incorrect. This is kind of redundant. I've got a section of the store called images. Within that section, there's also a property called images. But I'm kind of doing it that way because I might want to store other metadata about the images in that section of the store. I could change my mind on that. The nice thing about that, though, is using this selector means later I can totally change it. And the client code using this selector doesn't need to know that the underlying Redux state changed. Okay, so back to this. This selector, I use it here. The selector selects data, not unlike a SQL select statement in concept. It extracts a bit of data from the Redux store in a fairly agnostic way. So I just say, I want these custom images, give them to me from the state. And only the selector needs to know the exact location. That's more like the selector is named for the purpose, and the underlying representation can be changed later. So anyway, long-winded way to say, I need to fix my test. How about we do this? I changed it to an object. Let's do this. So this allows me to retain this basic assertion. So at first, there should be nothing in that object. Then I dispatch this action to import an image. And you know what? I'm going to keep copying this over and over, so let's just do this. I get the images. I'm going to do it again. And this time, So one of the things I'm trying to do today is talk more. Last stream I was kinda needed a lot more coffee, and I did not explain much of anything that I was doing. So I'm kinda trying to be a jabbermouth today. Explain everything I'm doing. Alright, so this time there should be at least one image in there, and I want to be able to say images. You know what, actually, what else I want to do? Well, let's just see if this test passes first. Hello, kitty. Oh no, syntax error, okay. These are very long exceptions traces for that. Oh, I only did double. That needs to be a triple dot. What does the test say now? Test failed. Why did test fail? Images is not defined. Oh, I see what I did. I needed to say state.images. Failed again. Why did it fail this time? Expected. Oh, did I? No? Well, now I'm confused. What's in images? Let's interrogate that real quick. Alright, so that has what I expected to have in it. I wasn't trying to be equal to that though, was I? This seems weird. Oh, I know what I was trying to do. I know what I'm doing. I'm comparing the wrong thing. There we go. This test should pass. Cat fur on the mic. Cool, test passed. Now, one of the things that occurred to me while I'm doing this, what if I want to associate some additional metadata along with this image? Yeah, like say image type. So let's make the test fail again. Because now I don't want to just store the image data in the store. I want to store this whole object. Cool. Test is going to fail. I know that. Yeah, test fails. Let's make it not fail, because what I want it to do, don't just store the image. Let's store the whole payload. So the downside of this is, since I'm just kind of blindly storing the payload, I am not paying much attention to the contents. But that makes it flexible in that I can expand what I store later. I think that will make it pass. Yeah, so that passes. So now what I've done, I've got a section of my Redux store that has a set of images identified by name, each of which is a data structure listing the name, type, and the image data. Of course, my code here doesn't care about the contents of those individual items, but that's going to be my convention. I mean, if I wanted to be more strict, I could do this. Actually, maybe I will do this. It's kind of repetitive, but it at least is explicit about its purpose, rather than permissive. I may come back to this and disagree with myself. But either way, the test should still pass. Okay, test still passes. So, now, my Redux store supports storing images. It should also support getting rid of images. So let's make another test for this. Let's see, so I'm almost an hour into the stream, and I've successfully added one new Redux action, one new creator, and a test for it. That doesn't seem very productive, but at least I got something done. I'm just going to shrink the name of that test. Okay. I'm going to copy pasta some stuff here. The other thing I can do too is hoist these constants so I can reuse them. So now more than one test can use that. Might even hoist this variable, but I don't know. It's okay, let's copy pasta that for now. I already copy pasted it. I can say doopy doopy doop. This test should actually pass. But then, and actually, yeah, it should pass, right? There's a new test that should pass. Oh, it failed. Why did it fail? Oh, images is not defined. Wait, why is images not defined? What line is that on? 48. Oh, that's right. Yeah, I'm gonna hoist this variable up here because it's just kind of a scratch variable that multiple tests want to use. All right. Let's create a new image, new action, and make this test fail. Stop typoing. All right, so images, delete image, and here I'm only going to need image name. This test will fail because I have neither the action nor the reducer to support it. There's my failed test. I don't have the action yet. So back up here. Let's add the delete image action. And again, because of the magic of create actions helper, this is uppercase snake case, and it becomes a camel case method. So I created the action. That'll resolve one error at least. And I'll get a new error. The new error is that the assertion didn't work, which means I now need to take that action and implement it in my reducer. So This is going to be a function that takes in the state. It takes a payload of image name. So that's a pretty simple. So in this reducer, I expected my payloads to be objects. For this reducer, I just expect the payload to be just a simple string to name the thing. Now, deleting is a little harder than what I'm doing here. So what I'm going to do make a copy of that. Actually, I'm going to make a copy of it like so. And this is a shallow copy, but my data is not particularly deep for this purpose. And I'm going to say, now I'm working on a copy, so the original state will not lose its image. Oh, you don't have to scan all my files, thank you. And then I can say, return a copy of the original state with images. Wait, I'm going to rename this a little bit. It's not old images, it's new images because it's the modified copy. Actually, I'm going to do this. This makes things a lot more compact. So this is super compact. I have not found a quick kind of sugary syntax to represent deletion. And this syntax up here is pretty good at representing addition, but not deletion. But basically what I'm doing here is I make a copy of the image's property and state with the spread operator, the shallow copy. But since I'm only deleting something from the shallow first layer, that's not going to affect the original, so the original is not mutated. And then I return a copy of the state, again, spread operator, with a new images property based on what I just constructed here. So hopefully this causes the test to pass. Oh, and I know what else I just did. This needs to be a simpling of that. And no semicolon. Okay, hopefully that'll make sense. And if it makes sense to the computer, my test will pass. Oh, it's still saving. Come on, save faster, little buddy. So assuming this works, what I may move into next is playing around with the actual Redux components, or the React components, to use these additions to the Redux store. Test pass, okay. So now, my Redux store has a new section that handles importing and deleting image data. So now, I move into the React side of things and actually use it. I'm going to do a little more hoisting here. Let's use this as a canned bit of data. Kind of my, I don't know if I want to call it a nervous tick, but one of my little fiddly things I do while I'm thinking about next steps is I move code around incessantly and reformat as my brain is working. Here's the other thing I can do. Is prettier like the way I formatted my code? Maybe not, because this is taking way longer than I meant to. I see. Oh, okay, that's cool. So it tightened up some of these lines, which is cool, because these tests are not really that complicated, so they shouldn't look complicated. So I'll take that. Same thing over here. What does Prettier tell me about my changes here? Okay, looks pretty much the same. It tightened up one of these lines. I don't know if this is any clearer, but I'll take it. Alright. So, I added the stuff to the Redux store. Let's jump up into... So now the next places I'm going to have to go. I'm going to have to change the web app, and then I'm going to have to go up into the add-on and make the add-on use the theme data, or the image data. Hello, Kitty. What are you up to? You want to help me out? No, you just want to sit on my shoulders? Okay. Can I lay down? I can just be hunched over for a while? No? Okay. Okay, cat interlude complete. Alright, so the component where I'm going to deal with this stuff at is the theme custom background picker. And I'm going to go back into my shell. I'm done screwing around with tests for now, so I'm going to start the whole site build back up. That should be okay. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm not going to rip out the old image handling yet. I'm going to add the new image handling. So, okay, so this is where I actually handle importing the image. And down here I've got set custom background, and I stuff that into the theme. Now, what I don't remember about the file reader API is if I can get a name from it. I could look at docs. I probably will. Another way to do it, though, just dump it out the console and see what it shows me. Let's see what that does. Let's see my build going on in the background there. This is something I do sometimes too. I'll watch the kind of miniature thumbnail of my shell and the colors let me know what's going on. It's all green. Looks like it built. The shape here tells me that it actually built the site. So okay, I'm going to reload this page. I don't need to do that. Loading, 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 loading. It's still all very slow. Maybe in the next hour, I'll actually make this speed up. Okay. So it's still pretty slow because it's still juggling all this image data. At least I hope that's the main reason why it's slow. Okay. In the console, I'm going to watch now and see what file reader gives me when I import a new image. Because I think one of the things is name and one of them is type. I pick a new image. Here I have my head. Ah, there we go. Reader data. What's this structure got in it? Come on, open up. There you go. Okay. So it comes in the result. The result is the data. Oh, you know what I need to look for is not the file reader. I need to look at the file. Because the file has the metadata before the data is read.
destination.
Blah, 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 blah. It's loading. It's building. Reload, please. So, okay. Oh, it doesn't have to refresh the page. I forgot the other day I enabled hot module replacement, so I don't have to wait for a full page reload. Let's get rid of this background. Let's add it again. Yee! Come on back. So slow. Thank you. Again, this is the kind of performance stuff I'm hoping to fix. Come on. Doofus. I may actually disable this at some point while I'm developing. There's code where if the site doesn't respond to the add-on for like 3 seconds, or if the add-on doesn't respond to pings from the site for 3 seconds, the site decides, like it just did, that the add-on is missing. And then eventually it notices the add-on is actually there. Okay, so we have our reader data, we have our file data. The file data comes with name, size, type, last modified. Okay, that's all useful stuff. So how about we do this? I'm going to keep my set custom background. Oh, you know what I do need to do? I need to pop up to the app component, because this deep nested component does not have direct access to action dispatchers. Yeah, alright, I'm going to do this kind of ugly coding right now. I'll dry this up later. I did this whole thing here to dry up some repetitive code, and this code is pretty repetitive down here. But there's enough of a difference that I was too lazy to dry it all up. And is that the name of my thing? I think that is the name of my action. Sometimes I jump back to my tests to use them sort of as documentation, because I know the test passed. Yeah, there's my action, so I can say, I know this worked in my my test. With a few changes. The other one is named delete image, right? Yeah. So this is just wrapping this action creator in the dispatch method of my store. And since it's a part of map dispatch to props, that gets called down here as part of the Redux React helper. And it makes sure those things are, like, access to the store is passed along the tree of React components. I need to do anything else here? Yeah, no, I think it's stuff I simplified yesterday. So, okay. So basically I make these action creators available as dispatchers. And so back down here, slowly changing the split size. Okay, back down here I can say import image. What I want to say is name is going to be, and see, I've already diverted myself enough to where I forget what these property names are. Name size type, okay. So that's name. And these aren't listed in my test, but I want to add them anyways. They'll probably be handy later. And I could probably shorten this by destructuring the file object, but I don't feel like it. What did I name that? I named that image. Okay. Now what I'm doing here, eventually set custom background. I think I'm going to change it to take the image name instead of the URL, so that then code using the images can just refer to the images store rather than the whole theme data. But I'm just going to run these in parallel for now to make sure I didn't break anything. I don't have tests of my React components much yet. I probably should start adding some. It's mainly the Redux store that has testing. But so a lot of this is like manual, but that's okay for now. So let's get rid of these debugging statements. I don't really need them. Let's see, did I break anything heinously? There's some red. Oh, I thought I left a trailing space in there. 181. Okay, let's get rid of that real quick. Yeah. Shut up, lint. I see a lot of green on the screen. Things are probably okay. I think we had some hot reloading. Take a look at our Redux store debugger. This probably needs a reload now. No? Okay. Let's clear that. Let's clear that. Let's clear that. Probably going to run into performance issues again. Okay, well, now you see the, I cleared all the background. And the performance makes the website think that the add-on is missing again. Come on back. You can see it happening in Redux Store too. It sets has extension to false, then sets it back to true like a second later. It's really annoying. Anyway, I cleared my custom backgrounds. Let's add a background. And I should see 2 images dispatched from this. Or 2 actions, yeah. So there's 1 action, set custom background. That's adding the empty background, which I'll probably change how that works later. Here we go. Let's upload this image. It should have a set custom background and an import image. Come on, buddy, you can do it. Kind of wrestling through the performance issues as I fix the performance issues. That's not working very well. Did you not get the image at all? Was there an error? Actually, no, yeah, I should check for an error. No error. Huh. Try uploading that image again. It isn't really uploading anywhere though, it's just being accepted into the web application. I should do some timing on the file reader to see what it does. Seems not good. Oh, there we go. Import image is not a function. There was an error. Import image is not a function, but I thought I brought it in up here. This is fishy. What did I name it? There's import image. Oh, you know, maybe I need to get around my hot component reloading here. Let's just reload the page. Reload, reload, reload. Everything is slow. Okay, you know, while it's doing that, I'm going to take a quick little break. Then I will be back in probably about a minute. Maybe shorter. Yeah, looks like it's working. I'm impatient. I'll be right back. And I'm back. Had a little too much coffee in preparation for the stream today. Okay, so it looks like it loaded. There were no errors in loading. Let's try uploading an image. I'm gonna pick my head. Import image is not a function. Should be a function. Maybe I didn't pass it successfully through the component hierarchy. So what props is this thing passed? Oh no, that's it. See, I was pretty sure I passed this function through the component hierarchy, but I guess it's possible I didn't. Still saving, still saving. Sometimes this NFS thing is fast and sometimes it's incredibly slow. Building. No errors. Hot update should have happened. Get rid of that. Let's re-add that background. So again, what I'm trying to do here, stop doing that. I'm trying to at least see that my image is ending up in the Redux store when I upload it. Let's try a smaller image. It'll be the error again, but I want to see what is this thing getting past. Oh, I know what's going on. I know what's going on. Duh. This is a subcomponent and not the main parent component. So I need to pass that function to the subcomponent. Duh. Yeah, this is the parent component all the way up here. And it is passing a few things. Yeah, okay, so I need to go. That's what's wrong. Let's try that. How about now? There we go. Yeah, all of this is all these pauses are unfortunate because this is all this iterative cycle should be going so much faster, but my computer's kind of bogged down. Okay, there we go. So we got both import image and set custom background happening. But I think I might break some things. Yeah, and you can see, so here is the image I uploaded by name, and here's all its metadata. That's cool. All right. Now if I upload another image, I didn't test for this, but it should handle 2 images. Don't see why not. Yeah, right, there's the next image. There's the next import image. There's what it imported. This is what the state looks like now. Now look at raw state. And what's going on with my music? Next, please. Thank you. Yeah, this is just chewing up my CPU cycles. Okay, yeah, so now the store has both images imported. Unfortunately, so does the theme data, but that's what we can work on next. So what I want to do, now that I have this separate store of images, I want to stop storing this URL in the theme and switch to using the name. Because then it can just do it by reference. So then as this theme data gets copied around, it's not copying the full images. Now, of course, eventually I'm going to have to relay the image data to the add-on, which is just getting it from theme data right now, but one step at a time. Looks like I've been streaming for just over an hour and a half. I think I'm going to take about another 30 minutes, so we'll see how far along I get with this. If I go much longer than 5 p.m. my time, the cats start chewing on my legs for food. So what I really want to do here, maybe I should change the store tests. I don't know that I need to. I don't really need to. No. Get out of here. I don't know why this is so laggy. Probably because my CPU is really suffering. Okay. So down here, what I'm going to do... You know what? I want to add another selector, because I think this is going to come in handy. I've got a selector that returns all images, but I want one that just returns image by name. Let's throw a quick test in here. Should support fetching an imported image by name. I'm going to copy pasta some of this. And actually, no, I don't need that. What I want to do, theme, selectors. Oops, I did not mean to undo that. Let's see, theme custom image by name. I'm all butterfingery today. Do I need to do that? I don't know that I need to do that because I can just get the full set. But it's useful to have a selector that does that. Do any of my selectors currently take parameters? That's a thing I haven't really done much of before, eh? There's a thing that I haven't played with in a while that I might need to refresh myself a little on. I'll look this up real quick. Just trying to remember the convention for things when I do want an argument. Yeah, see all these selectors are functions that return a thing from the state. But what if I want to add a filter? I mean, I guess I could create a function. I'm probably just way overthinking this. I don't need to go this deep on it. Yeah, maybe I don't need to worry about it for now. You know what, I'm not going to go this deep right now. I'm just going to say, so when I get the images, it's already an object with names, so I don't have to worry about that. Let's forget about this for now. Because I'm trying to think, so generally, by convention anyway, selectors are functions applied to the state that return a selection, computed or otherwise, from the state. Those functions generally don't themselves take parameters. So how I've seen it done before is then you have a function that returns a function. And so the first function takes the parameters and it returns a function that takes state. And then that returns what you wanted. And that's a useful thing for caching and memoization. But that's probably too convoluted for anything I want to do right now. So let's just forget about that for right now. Okay. I really like this song, but it has no ending. Actually, why don't we play the next sub-song? Can we play the next subtune? There we go. This is a really cool game on Mega Drive. Okay, so we're importing the image. Well, let's do this. So I can simplify some things. Now this is going to break things all over the place. Because now the URL is missing. But now we can go around and clean up after ourselves and fix things. Let's get to the correct browser. Let's get to the right window. That's not the window I want. There we go. One of the first things that should break are the image previews here. But I know that's going to break, so I can just go ahead and start fixing it. Okay, so up here in background list, one of the things I can do... What is the name of the selector? Did I map the selector? I did import the selector, so I named it, yeah, theme custom images, okay. I could probably have a simpler name for that. I think what I want to give this thing is let's try that. Now I think this is going to break because my hot reload doesn't take into account the fact that I just changed the contents of the store, so I'm going to have to reload the page, I think. What else am I passing to this dumb thing? Okay. Changed a few things around. What did I name that? Image, yeah. Some more kind of redundant stuff here. It's kind of spewing some more info in there. Yeah, okay. Does my build break? If my build doesn't break, then I'll just reload it. Meanwhile, next tune. Oh, we had some lint errors. Okay, so line 80, we're assigning to the URL. Okay, I see what I'm doing here. I don't need to worry about that. This is just the name, though. Let's try that. Oh, that gave me some trailing space, too, didn't it? Okay, let's see what that linting error was. Oh, maybe I already fixed it. Nope, nope, nope. Trailing spaces, 97. It's my least favorite linting rule. Okay, let's just reload the page, shall we? There's a bunch of things that I think are going to fall out as broken from this because it was nice and simple to keep the image data embedded directly in the theme data rather than by reference. But now that data is all over the place. Well, in one place. Oh, we got an error. Why is that? Image is undefined. Why is image undefined? Well, let's go track that down. Line 97 it claims. Okay. I thought I passed in the image. Typo. I'm stumbling towards this feature change. I'm almost there. Well, I might have another stream worth of work to do. I don't know. I've been kind of trying to take my time with it, and I've been trying to talk through it, and also meanwhile, everything is just so slow on this computer right now. And the danger with things being so slow is it's really easy to lose your train of thought and get distracted. So item is undefined. Why is item undefined? Oh, I see. I'm not inside the loop. Dag nabbit. Okay. What you doing, kitty? So far, so good. So unfortunately, I've only got about maybe 8 more minutes scheduled for myself in this stream. I don't think I'm going to have this finished by then. I was hoping I would. But I've made some progress. Oh, I think I know what I'm doing. I'm making changes to this, well, implicit changes to the store. But maybe it's not in the store that I need to worry about. Yeah, it is in the store that I need to worry about. So this is the thing I was talking about earlier. I explicitly named things in this action payload. I did the same over here in set custom background, but I'm changing URL to name so I can refer to the image by name instead of embedding the image fully. So I'm going to change my store a little bit. And I can't decide whether this explicit naming is fragile or whether it's self-documenting. There's a temptation to leave things genericized, to like just have like ... stuff goes here and not name it all. And then later the client code can stuff whatever it wants into the ... part. But then that knowledge is spread around. You never quite know what ends up in that generic section. Okay, so I changed that to name. Do I need to change my tests? Probably. Did I use the URL? I did use the URL. Oh, thanks for the follow, Didio VPN. Nice to see you. Let me just change my test real quick. Oh, I need a better computer. Even just typing in Vim is slowed down by some of the stuff I have going on. It's kind of ridiculous. I just really like the soundtrack to this game. All those grungy FM synthesis voices. My goodness, what is eating so much CPU? Text entry should not be a complicated thing. I don't actually need this remote desktop instance right now. Maybe that'll free up some CPU so I can type. Get out of here. It'll give me a little more headroom. Seems like it has, okay. Let's hoist these since I used them twice. Okay. Do I mention the URL anywhere else? I do mention it there. I mention it there. Okay, let's change that to name. I guess a good IDE would help me out here. You're 14, trying to get into coding, but don't know where to start. That is a good concern to have. I would say the stuff I'm doing right now is not necessarily a good starting point. But depending on what you've done so far, JavaScript is an alright beginning language. It's got enough weirdness to frustrate you and make you give up the whole thing, so that's unfortunate. One thing I'd recommend, though, is if you're trying to get into coding, to build something you like. So if you like games, find something to build games in. Like one of my favorite things. It looks old school and it's kind of lo-fi, but I really like... If you like games, look for Pico 8. Because it lets you program in a language called Lua, which is a pretty simple language. And it's not JavaScript, it's not Python, it's not whatever, but it does let you get into the basics of just writing code. It lets you get into like conditional statements and loops and all that stuff and learn the basic structure of code. And if you like video games, and I like video games, this is a good way to scratch an itch because you can make fun things happen on the screen while you're writing code. And it might sound kind of simple and juvenile, but sometimes it's just nice to have fun while you're learning a thing. It's nice to make something satisfying happen on the screen. And the other nice thing about Pico 8 is there's a big community of people who are sharing code. Web stuff is fun to get into also. But if you're still kind of learning basics, it might be easier to start with something that's a little friendlier. Man, when I was little, I started learning how to code when I was like 8 or so, and I was doing it with like Commodore 64 Basic, which that's not the friendliest place to be either. I should probably do some streams with some Pico 8 coding. The other language I learned when I was really young is Logo, which I don't even know what the state of Logo is these days. It's that kind of stuff is just fun because like you can make a thing happen on the screen and you did it with your code, and so it kind of gives you some incentive to like keep making things happen. Whereas if you jump straight into like web development, you're gonna have what you're gonna make happen is error messages. There's nothing but error messages, and that is discouraging. What am I doing? I was trying to see if this thing was coming up with my tests are passing. I was trying to see if my new display of images was going to work. Yeah, I don't know if my little ramble there was helpful or not, but I'd say to get started, just do any coding. Find something fun. Because like I know maybe it doesn't seem super serious to like not jump into something professional right away, but you don't want to get yourself bogged down in stupid complexity when you're missing out on the fun. I don't know if I have them in my office, but I had... I'll show you how simple I started. Of course, this is going back to like when I was 10, 12. These are awesome books back then. I don't know what the current equivalent of them are, but they're just stupid little programs that like stupid little games. Like, I don't know. These are all just, and it's dumb stuff, but you get a sense for how to make a computer do things. Like a number guessing game. And I'm sure there's stuff for JavaScript like that now, because the thing these days, the Commodore 64 that everybody has access to is usually the web. So if you jump into a web browser, you've got a programming language right there. So if you do learn JavaScript, that's a really good place to be. It's just that JavaScript can be really frustrating. But yeah, I'd say the most important thing is just to start learning some basics, some fundamentals, especially if you can tie it to something fun. Because there's nothing that'll like kill your desire to program faster than to run face first into stupid complex errors. Like I'm doing most of my stream today. Yeah, so I think I got about like 4 minutes left on my schedule today. I think I may wrap this up. Maybe for the hell of it, one of my next streams I will just kind of play around with Pico 8 or something to take a break from this project. Oh, I know what I wanted to do. Is this working? So yeah, I want to say maybe I got about halfway through things today. You know, I've never done anything with Udemy before. Another guy whose stream I watch, I think, does. He's been learning Java there. Actually, what is this guy's name? I've hung out in his stream a little bit, and he's real fun to hang out with. Let's say... Let me see who I'm following. Yeah, I should look up Udemy sometime just to see what stuff they offer. Yeah, I think this is the dude. Maybe not. Oh, he's hosting this guy. Okay. So yeah, I've never really played with Udemy, but I think I'm going to paste his name in the chat. If you follow that guy, Love Me Senpai 101, he's been doing some cool stuff where I think he's gone through some Udemy courses and he's learning how to do some Java stuff, and he's just kind of an all-around fun guy to watch. He does have some decidedly not safe for work humor, but that's kind of fun too. I'm trying to keep it clean, but that's not fun sometimes. I guess the image isn't being passed here. Alright. Well, I'm at about time. It's good to leave myself stuff to do next time. I think I'm gonna call it for today. It's not super satisfying to end the stream without finishing what I came in to do, but it's always good to have stuff left over to do next time. So, thanks everybody for watching. I think next time I'm going to do more of this. Hopefully by the end of the week I can have this feature mostly done. Maybe next stream I'll have some more cats, who knows. Yeah, I think that'll about do it today. Kind of tired of banging my head on this, so maybe in between now and next time my homework will be to try to get everything on my machine running faster so I'm not waiting so long for files to save. Because the build runs fast, it's just the editing files and running the browser that slows everything down. It's okay. Thanks everybody for watching. Thanks for the follows. Again, the project I've been working on is Firefox Color. You can find that under my my GitHub account if you're looking for it. And I hope to see you next time around. I'm planning on coming back, I think, on Friday around 3 p.m. Eastern. We'll see how that shakes out. Until then, everybody, cheers. Have a good one.